Old Fashioned Football on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up for promo code OFFSGPN to get a 50% deposit bonus of up to $1,000. We're also brought to you by Rebet, a new sports book available in 45 states. Download Rebet in your app store and use promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit bonus up to $1,000. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Start crushing football and the NFL with Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM.
Hey, what's up? This is Sam Acho, and you're listening to Old Fashioned Football.
Old Fashioned Football.
Make this deal right now, you pancake eating mother.
All right, deal.
Old Fashioned Football.
Welcome to Old Fashioned Football. If you're wondering who you listen to, this is J Mark. You can find me on the X at J Mark Football. And if you're wondering who us is, that's at Old Fashioned FB. Before I keep going to talk about Week 15, can't believe the playoffs are here. I got to bring in my co-host on the pod and in life. You can find her on the X at the Mark Murr. How you doing today?
It's been a Monday.
It's been a Monday.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's always your Monday. It's been a Monday.
It's been a Monday.
Mondays
I
are Mondays.
Live a lot of Mondays.
You live a lot of Mondays. Well, Thursday, you were living a lot of, I guess, cash in the G's. You picked David Montgomery as the first touchdown scorer correctly. So kudos to you. I guess we'll have to see what you got cooked together for tonight's game, which, speaking of tonight's game, which is the Bengals and the Cowboys, shout out to the Cowboys fan himself, always fresh, never soggy, cereal, saying Josh Allen MVP tickets looking good.
The 6 touchdowns,
yes.
3 of which he ran in.
Yes.
Just amazing.
Spoiler alert. I have a feeling he'll probably be on the stud list, but put up a lot of points. Week 15's here, which means it's fantasy football playoffs for most leagues. I do have one where I got one more week because only 4 make it, and it's just a 10-team or it's a 10-team league. So those smaller ones, they might not start yet. Had a couple must-win games getting into the playoffs. I did win 2 of them. I lost 1. Murray, your team showed up this weekend in our family league.
Yes.
Didn't matter, though, because you needed me to lose. Who could have predicted I was going to upset the team with the top record, I guess, to squeeze into the playoffs? It's not over yet. He does still have Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow, but he needs, I think, 65
Here's
points.
to getting 65 points.
No.
Yep.
But yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess because it's playoffs now.
Yeah.
We're going to do things a little bit different. We're still going to obviously bring you the injury report, studs and duds, start throws a lot, and give out Underdog Fantasy entries.
Of course.
We'll also continue to talk some waivers, but we're going to cut down on those a little bit, just maybe highlighting some players available out there. And this is because for a couple reasons, I guess. There's not a ton of game-changing players available.
Right.
We're towards the end of the season already, and there haven't been a lot of major injuries. And then what? Sorry,
I said ouch. Go ahead. I'll explain in a second. Continue. I'm so sorry. I couldn't not. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. No, you might as well just.
Well, I have a really bad crick in my neck, as you've heard me complain about all day.
Okay.
And you said major injuries, and I turned my neck and hurt. And it's like it was weird timing that you say there haven't been a lot of major injuries, and I go, ouch.
So much here.
Sorry.
What?
I know. I'm so sorry.
Happening?
I did not mean to interrupt. It was involuntary.
Your neck crick or whatever's going on with it, the pinched nerve is not a. Did you sleep wrong?
No, it's from lifting all that insulation on the ladder over and over yesterday.
I lifted it to you first over my head, and I'm fine.
I know. It's because I had to look up more, maybe. I don't know.
I had to look up the entire time. What are you talking about?
I don't want to admit that I'm old enough that just sleeping wrong could do it, so I'm blaming the insulation.
Everyone has a moment where they wake up and they slept
I
wrong
did
and your
balance
neck
it
hurts.
on my head a lot more than you did. Maybe that was a mistake.
I've got nothing for you. We're gonna move on. What was I saying? We're shortening up our waiver segment because there's just not a lot out there. We're
Yeah.
at the end of the season. Not a ton of major injuries, except Justin thinks he has a major one, but you are also
didn't
not
say
a football
major.
player, Justin, so you don't impact fantasy. And then,
Your fantasy.
you know, with some of you in and some of you like out, without, you know, major injuries, your teams are likely set for the playoffs. Hopefully you made the playoffs.
Yeah, and if you didn't, I mean, you can still work waivers, but
Mhm.
probably
If you
not
didn't, I think in like your keeper leagues,
as.
not so much dynasty because there's nothing out there in dynasty leagues, but if you're in keeper leagues, like some
Yeah.
of ours where, you know, you keep up to a certain amount of players, contract them for their auction value
Yeah.
plus $5 each additional year. Now is the time where you really might, if you didn't make it, you kind of want to see what's out there, kind of want to anticipate, because some teams might not be, if they're locked in, they might not be picking up players who
Yeah.
might end up becoming valuable next season.
No, that's an excellent point. I feel like that last week, if I'm not in the playoffs or if I have the bench space, I always
Mhm.
end up going for somebody that I'm like, maybe next year this will be a good
Yeah.
contract.
And if they weren't in those leagues, if you didn't get them in auction, they weren't drafted,
Yeah.
then it's just a $3 contract.
Yeah,
for next year.
exactly. And we'll, I think, like week 17, which is most of the championships, unless you're, I guess, commissioner is a lunatic. We should go over some of the players that will be switching teams or potentially in free agency that
Mhm.
could have a much bigger role going on their new teams. And yeah, like you said, we're going to give best bets, even though the waivers will be a little bit different. We'll do best bets still, of course, and we'll still talk whiskey, which, speaking of,
Yes.
what are we drinking today?
I'm excited for today's.
Me
first
too.
of all, but we are drinking Balcones Lineage. We saw this. Did we see this in Storm Lake?
We did see it in
just
Storm Lake.
randomly, one bottle.
Yeah.
Just sitting there. But I'm excited because I definitely like whiskey from this area. So
Yeah.
specifically from Balcones.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll cover kind of that later in the show. Of course, Serial chiming in. Let's shout out the chat. Did Justin finish winless in the league so far? I could play in the toilet bowl and not be winless. So take that, Serial. We got a couple people, our Mark and Kathy Mark, chiming in. Didn't make the playoffs. Forever Eagles saying Mahomes or Darnold rest of season. Man, that's tough, but Darnold has looked damn good.
Mhm.
He's coming off about a 50-pointer if you have bonuses like our league does. We get 40 plus and 50 plus touchdown bonuses, and he finished with, I think, 52 points in our league. I think Darnold's the better option there.
I hate to agree, but yeah.
And I also think, the Chiefs, people are saying, well, they're not scoring a lot of points. Is something wrong? There's nothing wrong with the Chiefs. They're in coast mode until the playoffs. I feel like playoffs, they'll really turn it up. Until then, it just seems like they're coasting a little, not a lot of hurry. Shout out to Dylan. How's it going, Dylan? Forever Eagles are also saying, is it worth dropping a quarterback? I'm afraid my opponent will use against me. That's a good question.
Who is it?
Yeah, it depends. If you're dropping it for somebody
Mhm.
you need, then you got to do what's best for your team. Can't
Mhm.
worry about what the opponent's going to do, in my opinion. But if it's
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, if it's somebody you don't need and you're like, oh, maybe I'll drop this quarterback for this player that's just going to sit on my bench, then maybe don't do it. What were you going to add?
I was going to go back to the Sam Darnold Mahomes thing. Sam Darnold is QB7.
Yeah.
Guess I think, I don't know if it's still like this. I think it is. Mahomes is QB10.
I'll have to look. I don't remember off the top of my head.
And I do think that the Vikings have a tougher. Well, they'll have week 16. They play Seattle.
Yeah.
That's a pretty decent matchup for them.
Yeah, for sure. Serial saying you picking a longest prop later, the odds on that is minus 550. Nick is enjoying some rock and rye, an old fashioned in a brand new 49ers whiskey glass.
Oh,
Very
that's
nice.
the mood there with that glass. Not my mood, but that's fine.
Not your mood. Would you mind looking up, since you have a sleeper up there, Tua's schedule the rest of the time?
Mhm.
Ralph saying, can I trust Tua in the playoffs? He finally looked good against the Jets there. Part of that might be the fact that the Jets seem to be a bit of a dumpster fire. I know they have Houston next. Who else do they have?
They play the 49ers, Cleveland, and the Jets.
All right.
So they have a mediocre rest of season schedule.
Yeah.
A little bit on the tougher side, but
should be able to move the ball against Texans. San Francisco looked good this week, but it was against the Bears, and I say that as a Bears fan.
But
so
they no, I don't know. I don't know what to say for our defense.
Right.
I think
Well, I'm saying their defense because Tua will be playing their defense, is what I'm saying. And their defense.
Yeah, I guess that was the wrong angle to go there. I'm still like just hurting from what I witnessed.
Watching that shit show of a game for the Bears. And then Cleveland, I mean, they've been giving up some big plays too. So I think you can trust Tua in the playoffs. What do you think?
I think so.
I guess the tough one is at Cleveland. So if it's cold and that's your final, which it should be, week 17 at Cleveland, Tua does not play very well in the cold. That would be my one concern with his schedule. Last time he said they were going to break the narrative, I think they scored 9 points. So did not indeed break the narrative that he cannot play in the cold. Anything else to add on Tua? Are you trusting him?
Well, who else do you have? Do you have another option?
Yeah,
I'd like to compare.
What's your other option, Ralph?
If that's it, then yes, absolutely. Go with it.
Serial saying, is Caleb still QB12? I doubt it. Mr. Magic saying, I need a quarterback out of Stafford, Purdy, or Darnold in week 16 because I'll probably get the bye next week. I would go Darnold. I think, like we said, Sam Darnold, he's just been so solid. And Purdy has been good as well, but I think he's had some more struggles. Stafford, it's hit and miss because he utilizes Puka and Cooper Kupp very well, but then they hand the ball off once they get into the red zone. So he lacks touchdown upside.
Yes. I
agree. Darnold. And then I see you have Caleb up there.
QB 14. He's been that for a little bit here.
QB, yeah.
I guess I might have missed when he was QB 12, but
different league scoring. Maybe he is in.
Be.
Yeah.
I need to make sure that I'm not in a weird scoring league.
Weird scoring league. Ralph saying I have no other options at quarterback. So you got to trust Tua then. And Ralph's a Bears fan. Go Bears, I guess. Yeah. At this point, I mean, obviously, I'd like to see us beat the Packers in the last game of the season. We have Seahawks, or I guess we have Vikings, Detroit, Seahawks, Packers. I don't have a lot of hope for us. It'd be nice to win those divisional games, but at this point, it's like we're just hurting draft stock. And I'm not a believer in tanking for a better draft pick, but at this point, might as well. I mean, there's nothing happening this season except that I hope we beat the Packers.
I don't know how our defense just like fell apart the way it did.
Yeah.
When we started out looking
I know.
decent.
We looked very good.
I was excited. Just needed our offense to get it together. Our offense still needs to get it together.
Yeah, they do. They do. Caleb could still be the first Bears quarterback to throw for over 4,000 yards. So, so
that's what I'm rooting for. I'm rooting for him to break some records.
Yeah, there you go. Forever Eagle saying, who do you think comeback player of the year is? Such a that award. I mean, they've changed so many things about it where it's somebody that shouldn't be playing or shouldn't have been able to come back or whatever. I don't know how they worded it. I mean, if I was doing it and not looking at somebody coming back from an injury, I'd say Jameis Winston because he's looked good. Are you just shaking your head because I'm saying Jameis?
Kinda.
I mean,
I
don't know. That's a tough one.
I need to think on that a little bit more.
Yeah, let's just keep. I love the chat being active. Let's just keep checking in with them. Cyril saying first game with Diggs and Bland, Joey Burr, OINT loading. Yeah, that's not a bad bet. Joe Burrow to throw an interception. Mr. Magic, Ken Walker could miss another week or so. That's what I've heard as well. Have you?
Yeah. There was actually just an update 25 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Let's see. It's a calf concern. It's not an ankle issue anymore.
Okay. So yeah, I think, and they're
getting more tests done.
They didn't miss him. I mean, that's no offense to him, but Zach Charbonnet looked amazing. So might as well rest him so that he can continue to get healthy and not have to play less than 100.
Charbonnet in a couple weeks paid off. I was like, I picked up in some desperation moves because of injuries that hit me last minute and all the buys. I was just like, oh my gosh, I picked up, well, I didn't pick up Charbonnet, but I threw him in. I picked up
I remember you talking about this. You had Isaiah Davis for the Jets.
Yeah, Taylor.
Patrick Taylor for the
Yep.
Niners. And Ty Johnson for the Bills. You were reading me. Oh, look, Ty Johnson just scored. And I was like, you started him? Isaiah Davis scored. You started it? Yeah, I had to.
It was really scary for me in a lot of leagues. And I was just like, well, I just hope these backups like perform. And
I mean, you looked like a genius because the backups did perform.
well,
Tyler
am I not
Algier,
a genius though? Because I
You are a
had nobody
genius.
and I had to go for the back. I chose to pick the backups.
I also remember you complaining about I got to start Tyler Algier, and he scored the first touchdown of their game. So yeah, real quick, we will get back to the chat here. I love the activity, but before we do, don't forget to download the SGPN app. It's free. You get free picks. You have access to all the podcasts on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, and it's just an easy to navigate app to get everything for free. And also, Miranda, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about where they could or about Underdog Fantasy?
Absolutely. We are brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Pick'em has one of the biggest menus for all sports, and their lobby is jam-packed with profit boosts. You can now use specials and boosts on all flexed entries. We're going to be giving out our picks pretty soon here. So go sign up today with promo code OFFSGPN to claim your special pick plus first-time deposit offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash. That's UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code OFFSGPN.
And we're also brought to you by Rebet. Rebet is the new social sports book available in 45 states. There are plenty of betting opportunities available on Rebet. It's easy to use and great for people in states where traditional sports books may be restricted. Download Rebet in the App Store and use the promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit match up to $100. That's Rebet, promo code SGPN. All right, let's catch up with the chat before. Wow, I can't talk. Before we get on the chant, yeah, let's start chanting. Let's not. Before we do injury report, Forever Eagles, who's more overrated, Eagles or Lions? I don't know if either of them are overrated, to be honest. They are both very solid teams. They're both playing very well. I thought Saquon would do well on the Eagles.
I'm surprised you didn't have an answer here because I feel like you've just been against like Hurts and just everything with this team.
Going into this season, they have proved me wrong. Now, I don't like that, they win a game barely, or I shouldn't say barely. They won by 6 points against the Panthers, but the Panthers have been very competitive. And they ask AJ Brown, what do you guys need to do better? And he says the passing game. I don't like that there's some complaints when you're such a good team, But yeah, I mean, both those teams very solid. Serial, the Cowboys fan, saying Eagles. Nick Fortune, the 49ers fan, also saying Eagles.
If you're comparing the two teams, I don't think the Lions are overrated.
No, I don't think the Eagles are overrated though either. Like that's the thing.
But
plus, I'm not going to tell somebody whose screen name is Forever Eagles that the Eagles are the most overrated team. I mean, I'm trying to get some subscribers.
This is your strategy here. Well, I mean, they have. I guess, what is Gibbs? The Lions have a top 10 defense. They have 2 top 10 running backs. Is Gibbs I need to check Gibbs before I say that. I know Montgomery is for sure.
Well, either way, outside of fantasy, they're both very, very good.
5 and 9.
Yeah.
So 2 top 10 running backs. They got top 10 wide receivers. They are just stacked.
Yeah.
They're just explosive. They're on fire.
Their defense,
I
despite
hate
injuries,
saying all of this because they're in our division, but
yeah, I mean,
they're solid.
They're cruising right now, that's for sure, and very well coached too. I mean, coaching is a huge part of that. Dylan saying, is it worth to drop Dobbs and Benson, maybe Allen, the running back from the Jets, for some of these waiver wire guys like Patrick Taylor, McCormick, maybe Cedric Tillman? I mean, I think Cedric Tillman, if he's healthy, is a really good player. Sincere McCormick for the Raiders. I mean, he's looked good. It's just when Zamir White and Alexander Madison are healthy, what does his role look like then? And then Patrick Taylor, I do think he will be the starter this Thursday, but maybe that's a good segue into our injury report that we're going to get to, because Isaiah Guerendo's injury, not as serious as originally thought, but I don't think he turns around and plays Thursday right away.
Yeah, I think Taylor could be a solid pick up there.
For sure. Sam Darnold's comeback player of the year as a starter. Nick Chubb. I mean, if Chubb had a better year, I would definitely say him. He's been so mediocre for comeback player of the year. Dylan's 11-2 going into the playoffs, number 1 and getting a bye next week. Love it.
Awesome.
I love it. Mr. Magic. I should have put my fab on Thielen and not Keenan. Keenan Allen had 2 games.
He had 2 back-to-back games.
Yeah,
where he
with
looked
touchdowns.
decent.
Yeah. So come on now. Nick providing a 49ers update injury. Purdy has no lingering issues after the gangbang from the Chicago Bear defensive players. They did hit him quite a bit, sometimes late. But how many playoff teams have the Eagles beat? Not sure about that. And Forever Eagles, Lions definitely overrated, but I'm biased. I think they're both good. I don't think there's a right answer there, to be honest. But I just think they're
2
both
solid
good.
teams.
They are very solid. Let's go over our injury report real quick.
Okay, I've got this.
All right, you got it.
So we already kind of hinted at this, or not hinted. I mean, everybody knows, but just more bad news for the 49ers running backs. Isaac Guerrero left the game late yesterday, having an MRI done to see if his leg injury is serious. We just mentioned that Patrick Taylor would be the next man up, and he didn't do too bad. He did get some fantasy points for me.
End of the day
when I
with a
threw him in.
touchdown.
Yeah. Yep. And then we've got Aiden O'Connell. He was initially thought to have suffered a season-ending injury. It's a knee bruise. He's questionable. We'll touch on this in waivers as well. But if you need help at the QB position in a deeper league or a super flex league, Desmond Ridder is going to get the start in his place.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there.
This dude was taken off the field in an air cast only to find out it's a knee bruise. I mean,
just a little bruise.
I don't
Walk it
know.
off.
I know.
Get back in there.
I know. I mean, it's a bone bruise, I'm sure.
Bone
So I'm
bruises
sure
are-
it's
those
very
are
painful.
It's
But the fact
painful.
that he was air casted and off the
and then just
anyways.
he has a bruise.
Yeah.
Just makes it sound so like
never
downplayed.
never trust a guy with that thin mustache that he has. Anyways, go on.
All right. Derek Carr is believed to have suffered a fracture in his left non-throwing hand. He's also in concussion protocol. What?
What else could go wrong? Concussion, the
He's
left
in
hand.
concussion protocol. They're currently calling him week to week, but I have a feeling he might end up on the injured reserve.
Yeah.
The team hasn't decided yet if Spencer Rattler or Jake Haener are going to start.
Yeah. I like Rattler. I hope he gets a start, but that's just me.
I didn't ask her, but no,
I know.
George Pickens, he's dealing with a grade 2 hamstring strain. This could cause him to miss several games. More bad news. Panthers running back Jonathan Brooks re-tore his ACL.
Yeah.
He had torn his ACL in college and was drafted, placed on IR, and healed. However, unfortunately, he re-tore it, and he's going to be out for the season.
Yeah. And who knows how much longer.
Right. Like being the second tear, it's hard to say if he'll bounce back from this again.
Yeah. I think he's 23 or 24.
Mhm.
So physically, I'm sure he can heal.
Yeah, but it's still
a
like
mental
crushing
game.
news for him.
Yeah.
You know?
And that becomes a mental game at that point
Mhm.
because this was his third game back, I think. So your third game back, you re-tear it. Now pretty soon you're going to be questioning every cut, every hit. And that can really play with somebody's head. So that sucks. I feel bad for him.
Yeah, but we'll keep you all updated on these throughout the week. Prior to our Thursday shit show.
Shit show.
I always do that.
I
It
know.
is a shit show on Thursdays here, but our start sit show. And then of course, all the way up to like Justin's really good about getting those shorts out there up to game time on Sunday with all those updates.
Yes, if you are subscribed, you knew as soon as the George Pickens news hit. Before we even got some from Sleeper and ESPN, we had a short up about it. So we try to keep you updated as much as possible, especially with playoffs. It looks like the conversation on the Lions and Eagles still going back and forth, but Forever Eagle says as long as the 49ers not in the playoffs, they talked so much shit last season. You'll have to take that up with Nick Fortune that's in the chat because he is the 49ers fan.
He was quiet about it. He didn't come back with anything.
He's not said anything
He's
yet.
either letting it simmer or
Typing. Typing very angrily.
oh my goodness.
Let's go ahead and hit the studs and duds.
Yeah, I've got our studs as per the usual.
Like-
quarterback stud. I don't know, Justin. You lifted some insulation and now you have a pinched nerve in your neck.
Motion of the insulation. It wasn't the insulation itself.
I did the same repetitive motion.
It was different.
Okay,
Next.
anyway. Quarterback studs. You're killing me. Josh Allen. We already talked about how amazing he was at the start of the show with his 6 touchdowns where he rushed 3 of those in. He was projected 22.1, which I think is great, but he finished with 51.88. He became the first player in the NFL history to throw for 3 touchdowns and rush for 3 touchdowns. He just had an unbelievable performance in their 42-44 loss to the Rams.
Yeah, unfortunate they lost.
I know, with that kind of a performance, and he's carrying them.
Yeah, that performance killed me in a league that I had to win. That's the one that I lost. But in our family league, my mother has Josh Allen, and we have bonuses in that league too. So he had 61 points in that one, and she's going to beat your dad, who has one of the better records. So I'm sure she was very excited about that.
And then at running back, Zach Charbonnet filling in for Kenneth Walker. He was projected 13.6. He finished with 34.8 in half PPR.
And I left him on my bench like a dummy. So
I didn't. It paid off.
Yeah.
Wide receiver stud, Puka. He's just uncoverable.
He really is. Yeah.
If you watch, like he just gets open. He was projected 15.5. This is pretty high in a half PPR league, but he finished with 35.8, having 12 catches for 162 yards and a receiving touchdown, as well as 16 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown.
Yeah.
Just on fire. And then our tight end stud, my tight end stud, George Kittle. Bears defense couldn't cover him. No surprise. We don't want to talk about it.
I was surprised, but go on.
I'm not surprised by anything. Our defense can't do anymore. Okay. But he was projected 11.4. He finished with 18.1. Only thing he didn't do was score a touchdown, which disappointing considering like how well he was playing.
Yeah.
But yeah, he did have 151 receiving yards.
Crazy. Going over the duds real quick. Mac Jones is the quarterback dud. Maybe somebody saying could have predicted that. I honestly thought he was going to do all right. I mean, he's looked decent this year in his limited time playing, but he only threw for 220 yards, finished 2 interceptions. He was projected 13.2. He got a whopping 5.1. So rough if you had to start him in a super flex league. Running back dud, James Cook, another one that a lot of people probably relying on to get into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Josh Allen stole all his rushing touchdowns. Cook was projected 15.3. He finished with 3.9, only having 20 rushing yards and 2 catches for 9 yards. Wide receiver dud, the biggest dud was a Packer, so we like that. Jaden Reed, their wide receiver 1, projected 10.77, finished with 0. He only had 1 target. It was weird. And then tight end dud, there were not a lot of dud performances that probably impacted you or surprised you. But after Dalton Kincaid was ruled out, I know I had to throw Dawson Knox in some of my leagues. He was projected 7.3. He finished with 1. So it's crazy how guys like James Cook and Dawson Knox can do so bad when Josh Allen had such a crazy good day. So, yeah, just interesting watching. Running back stud, Zach Charbonnet, absolutely. Dylan says, don't have to answer now. Well, I'm gonna. Geno Stafford or Jameis, maybe Cousins rest of season. I had Cousins since he's been so inefficient. I picked up Geno. His schedule doesn't look good fantasy-wise. Problem with Stafford, I mean, he throws for a lot of yards with Puka and Cooper, but like we kind of said earlier, it seems like they tend to run it a lot more at that point. Jameis is, aside from this last game, he has looked really good. I see you pulling Stafford up. What's his schedule look like the rest of the season
here? I was
here?
going to look at that. Kind of hard. Well, I guess so medium.
Who's he got? I can't read it from
49ers, Jets, and the Cardinals.
Yeah. So
for that's kind of tough, but yeah, last time they played San Francisco, even though it was earlier in the season, he didn't put up much for fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
Or against Arizona.
It's weird to say that I like out of these people, Jameis. I like him the most out of them. He's been just slinging the ball. They don't really have much of a run game. They have some run game, but not as much. He's just been really solid. I mean, he's been slinging it. He's got Jerry Jeudy, who had a huge game 2 weeks ago. He's got Elijah Moore. Cedric Tillman should be back. What's his schedule look like over there?
Oh, I pulled up Winston. Sorry. Winston, week 17 is against Miami.
Winston's who I was talking about.
Oh, okay.
I
heard you.
KC, Cincinnati, and Miami.
Mm-hmm.
So
the
I
next
like that
couple weeks,
schedule.
they have Miami is going to be a little challenging for him.
It's weird to say I'm going Jameis out of those four.
But I will say this week and next, very easy matchups for them.
Yeah. Nick talking about the 49ers win over the Eagles back in 2023. My mom checking in. I have Josh, yet I'm eliminated. Others were just bums, I guess. And then Ralph pointing up that Brock Bowers was a dud. Yeah, he didn't have a great game either, for sure. Scored more than one, but he was a dud. Let's talk about Sir Throws a Lot real quick because I like, if you haven't tuned into us before, this is just the person that threw the ball the most, the quarterback that threw the ball the most. Are you still researching guys over there before I go on? Sorry.
I was just looking at Gino really quick just to make sure. But I have to agree with you with Jameis Winston.
See, I'm telling you.
I didn't want to, but yes,
Jameis.
I do agree with that. I do think week 17 will be a little challenging, but I think he'll handle it. He'll handle it.
He'll handle it for sure. So Sir Throws a Lot, just the person that threw the ball the most. We track this and we get to get a nice little tribute from our former Chicago Bear quarterback.
This is Jim Miller, former Chicago Bears quarterback, and now it's time for Sir Throws a Lot.
All right. Thank you, Jim. So last year we had a tie at 46 between Tua, Patrick Mahomes, and Bryce.
Last week, not last year.
Did I say last year?
You said last year.
Oh, well, last week.
We are definitely talking about last week.
We had a tie between Tua, Patrick Mahomes, and Bryce Young.
Mm-hmm.
And looking at the stats, it showed that Tua was the better of those two and that Patrick Mahomes and Bryce Young, basically same quarterback. This week, take it away.
Yeah.
Who's our Sir
Throws a Lot this week is none other than Drew Lock for the Giants, who got the start with Tommy DeVito dealing with, sorry, I didn't say it correctly. I thought you were gonna
Tommy DeVito.
There you go. Thank you. Dealing with like his injury. Lock threw the ball for 49 times, only completed 21 of those. He finished with 227 yards and an interception with no touchdowns. So poor performance, but he threw that ball.
But he threw it a lot. Yeah. Yeah, it was.
He didn't even
bad.
have a 50% completion rate.
Oh man. Yeah, it's rough year for the Giants in general. And watching Saquon Barkley do so well has got to just be another kick in the nuts to him.
Yes.
I don't know why they ever let him walk. Should we talk a little Underdog Fantasy? Get this moving along with the show coming up, or the game coming up soon in about 30 minutes. By the way, make sure you go to, if you have Disney Plus, you can watch the game, and they're doing some crossover with the game in The Simpsons. Not sure how that's going to work, but I'm kind of curious to see it. So I'll let you kick it off with your lineup first.
All right. I've got Joe Burrow, higher than 277.5 passing yards. This sounds like a lot, but he's gone over this in each of the last 3 games. And even though the Cowboys are 13th in the league for passing yards allowed, I think the Bengals are going to have a good game against them and move the ball through the air. Next, I've got CeeDee Lamb, higher than 11.5 targets. He's been targeted higher than 11.5 times, in 5 of the last 7 games. And the Cowboys didn't get him involved enough last week, and I think they'll look to correct that by going to Lamb early and often. He is, their best player.
Yeah.
So we're going with that one. Cooper Rush, higher than 237.5 passing yards. With Lamb getting targeted a bunch and with the Bengals favored to win this game, the Cowboys are going to have to pass the ball to keep up. And Rush has higher than this in 2 of the last 3 games. Next, I've got T. Higgins, higher than 72.5 receiving yards. 2 weeks ago, Higgins had 148 yards. The Cowboys defense is good, but it does tend to struggle against outside receivers, especially ones that aren't the top guy, which is Jamar Chase for the Bengals. And for my last pick, I've got Chase Brown, higher than 76.5 rushing yards. The Cowboys are the second to last team in rushing yards allowed. And while Chase Brown has only been higher than this 3 times this season, he's been higher than 76.5 rushing yards in 2 of the last 3 games. So I think he continues on that trend.
Yeah.
$10 will pay you $119.50. If you flex your entry and hit all of them, it'll pay $59.70. If you hit 4 of the 5, a flex entry pays you $14.90.
All right. I did something a little different this time.
No kickers?
No kickers, but we always do
no
these
kickers.
pick'em entries.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can also go to the same section and flip it over to rivals, and you're basically guessing on stat projections
I see.
against each other, and you can combine these with like your picks. They can combine.
Okay.
So I went Joe Burrow, who has to do more than 4 yards, but or I guess 4 yards more than Cooper Rush. So Joe Burrow, longest completion over Cooper Rush by 4 yards. Rico Dowdle, which I see our graphic guy spelled wrong, versus Chase Brown. I got Chase Brown to have more than 8 yards more than Rico Dowdle.
Mm-hmm.
I have CeeDee Lamb more than I guess he has a 3-point lead here, but more receiving yards than T. Higgins, and then Jake Ferguson to have 13 more yards than Mike Gesicki finishes with. Just those 4, $10 pays you $126.10. A flex entry, all of them will pay $75.60. 4 will pay $18.90. Don't forget to use Underdog.
You did that wrong, hon.
3 of them pay $18.90.
The graphics guy messed that up.
The graphics guy messed it
He's
up.
getting fired.
Well, I'm firing him tomorrow. Might still need him for something tonight. He's getting fired tomorrow. Go over to Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code OFF SGPN. All right. The chat here, no longest play by Murr. I have a feeling that'll come in your best bets,
wait.
but I don't know.
You just wait. We're not done yet.
And then, Forever Eagles, Mr. Magic, and Nick Fortune going back and forth on the Eagles versus Niners. So
I like this.
Yeah.
Keep duking it out, guys.
and Serial has CD 15 plus first quarter yards. That one hit easily last time. Jamar 20 plus first quarter yards, and Turpin and Cooks first touchdowns. Woo! Let's talk about our waivers real quick, and then we'll cover our best bets.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not going to give out as many as normal.
I've got
or as in depth, I guess.
No, just a few for you. So I guess quarterback, Matt Stafford is only rostered in 38% of leagues. As long as he has Puka, he can put up points. He's got Cup too. I couldn't think of Puka and Cup. Thank you. He can put up points. And then Desmond Ridder, rostered in less than 1% of leagues, will likely start in place of Aiden O'Connell for the Raiders.
Yeah, for running backs, keep an eye on the injury to Isaac Garendo. We talked about that. If he misses time, pick up Patrick Taylor. He's rostered in 4% of leagues. He's their next man up, and they play Thursday, so I don't think Garendo will be ready to go. And then Ty Johnson, rostered in less than 1% of leagues. He's been getting good work in the passing game.
For wide receivers, got Jalen McMillan for the Bucks, rostered in 8.5% of leagues. He had 2 touchdowns this weekend. Justin's always saying how much Baker is a dog and will keep throwing his way. And Tim Patrick for the Lions, he's rostered in less than 1% of leagues, but he also had 2 touchdowns this week. And I think it'll be interesting to see if he keeps being involved.
Absolutely. And Baker is a dog. Thank you very much. At tight end, take a look at Juwan Johnson. We said his name last week to pick him up with Taysom Hill being out, but he's still only rostered in 14% of leagues. So y'all didn't listen, and he had a decent game. So I would definitely take a look at that. Before we get to our best bets, want to let you know that we are brought to you by MyBookie. SGPN started out with MyBookie, and now we're back. Check out the new and improved website. Great on mobile, plus props for every game and live dealer casino. Even new early cash out options. Just head over to mybookie.ag, promo code SGPN for 100% deposit match up to $1,000 plus a $10 casino chip. You can put that on blackjack or play a little roulette. Put it all on red. That's mybookie.ag, promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Have you ever wanted to create your own sports betting model for football? Do you even know what a sports betting model is? SGPN's proud partner Rhythm is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds and get predictions for betting on money lines, spreads, totals, and props. Build your own model, copy one of the top performing models from the leaderboard, or press build a model for me. And Rhythm gives you predictions for every game and player prop. They also got a myriad of stats, research, and trends analysis to give you even more betting insights. It is awesome. Just claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM.
I feel like I was just at an auction. Except it wasn't quite to that level. But
I'm not quite an auctioneer. Is that what you're trying to say
no,
here?
I mean, you were very much able to be understood.
Well, thank you.
There
Thank
you
you. The auctioneers cannot be understood is what you're saying. Serial says, #we dem boys. I enjoy the pain. Also doing over 9.5 first quarter. Dallas team total over 10.5 in the first half. It sounds like, I think there's going to be a lot of points scored in this game. So I like that. And Niners are in shambles with all that money they owe. Forever Eagles says.
So going back and forth there. I love it.
I like it. I'm waiting for Fortune to tune back in here. So Fortune, get in there and defend your team. We want to see it while we go over our best bets. I'll let you lead the way.
All right. You wanted my longest reception bet. Well, here it is. My Monday night longest reception. Despite it being a big number, I have to go with Jamar Chase at 25.5 yards. This is at -120. The last 3 weeks, he's had catches of 70, 32, and 49. So he's exceeded that 25.5 yards 3 weeks in a row.
I like it. I don't like it because I need him to have a bad game, but I do like the bet. Maybe I like this one because I do need this guy to have a big game. Or maybe I'm just a huge Chase Brown fan. Y'all have heard me talk about him ever since, I guess, Colby was on our show 2 years ago when Chase Brown, before he was even drafted, he talked about him and kind of gushed over him. I wanted the Bears to draft him. Didn't happen. But anyways, Chase Brown over 107.5 rush plus receiving yards at -115. I think he's going to have a big day against the Cowboys, or big night, I guess. Sorry, Serial. First touchdowns?
Okay. I'm going to make it dusty in here. Go with the chalk.
Hey, it worked out last Thursday when you pit Monty.
I know.
And he won.
These first touchdown bets are stressful. It's stressful picking the first touchdown because it's like just throwing a dart and there you go.
It is a dart for sure.
But I'm going to take Chase Brown. He's been an absolute stud this year, as you mentioned, and he's plus 475 to score the first touchdown. I think he does it, especially with how bad Dallas has been against the run. Sorry.
Sorry, Serial.
But we're doing a touchdown for each team. So for Dallas, I'm going to say CeeDee Lamb at plus 1,200. He's their best player. They really need to get him going early.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's okay that you went chalk for the Bengals because I'm not that far behind you. I love the Chase Brown angle to have the first touchdown, especially would love it if it's a 50-plus yarder so I get bonus points. But I need him to outscore T. Higgins by 42 fantasy points. So you're saying there's a chance? Probably not likely to happen. I'm going to go with Jamar Chase at plus 500. Burrow and Chase, they've been great all year. Stats wise anyways. They obviously have not won enough games, but they've been great on the field stats wise, and I think he scores the first touchdown. But if it's Dallas, I actually like Jake Ferguson at 20-1. The Bengals aren't great against the tight end, and Ferguson is second behind CD as the most reliable option in my opinion. So Serial's not liking our Cowboy hate.
I'm sorry. Hey, I said that.
I think they're going to score some points. Yeah. I mean, it's just they've had a lot of injuries.
I gave compliments to CD.
Dylan asking, is it worth giving Tank Bigsby a look again? I'm not looking at either of those running backs for the Jaguars anymore. I mean, just when I think Travis Etienne's getting back on track, he kind of puts up just a mediocre game. By the way, that's who I started over Zach Charbonnet and Travis Etienne in a PPR league, finished with 11. instead of the 44 from Sharp. They just the Jaguars just have not been good, so I don't trust them at all. Miranda, do you have anything else you'd like to add fantasy football wise before we get to the whiskey?
It's an intense time. It's the intense time of the season, and it's exciting.
Yeah. If you want to stick around, we're going to talk about some whiskey here. We hope you win tonight. If you need a win, if you don't need a win, I hope you win anyways. And then I hope you join us Thursday. We're going to be doing our start sits. So join us then, because it's playoffs. It's important to get your start sits correctly. You made a face at me over there. Are you okay?
I failed. I'm getting fired tonight too.
The graphics guy is gone. You're gone. Welcome to the Instagram people who I saw Miranda just hit go live on. Whoops.
I am getting fired. It's fine.
It's all good. It is a Monday.
Told you it's Monday.
It is a Monday.
I'm living a Monday, and I have to finish it out. It's not over yet.
Fair
so
enough.
Monday-ish things are still going to happen to me.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Do you want to tell everybody about
Yes,
Balcones
absolutely.
while I taste? All right.
While you taste, while you pour and taste.
While I pour and taste. I guess I kind of already gave it away, but
you sure did.
yeah, Balcones.
All right. So you'll get this. You already took the thing off. Okay, we're good. We are drinking Balcones Lineage. It's a single malt whiskey. For the full in-depth information about Balcones, we encourage you to go check out episode 109, I think it was, of ours, where we interviewed Balcones brand educator Alex Elrod. You can also find it in the whiskey section of our YouTube page if you want to watch on YouTube. We had a pretty good time with him.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Yes. We're going to give a quick background, though, as usual, before getting into this whiskey. So Balcones was Texas's first official distillery back in 2008, when they originally started as an idea to create a brew pub, and then it grew to become a distillery, and they officially started distilling in 2009. There are several different things that help Balcones whiskey have a unique taste. We've definitely seen this in different regions. If you're not a huge whiskey person, or you're limited in your whiskey experience, people just think of Tennessee and Kentucky, but I personally enjoy whiskeys from many different regions outside of there, because there are things like the water, the climate, that really impact the whiskey. And so for Balcones, their unique taste comes from the water, the Texas climate, and then the fact that they're using a single malt make their bourbons and ryes, through that single malt lens. Yeah.
I thought that was interesting when we talked to him, that he said everybody there, they're big single malt fans. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that they kind of make it all through that single malt lens, which obviously if you're making a bourbon or rye, normally you don't do that. But yeah.
Yep.
By the way, just to interrupt, this smells amazing. I'm looking forward to getting your reaction to it.
Okay.
But go ahead.
We don't want to take away too much from the episode with Alex, because it was really fantastic and he had a lot of great information. We really, really recommend that you go check out that episode, whether it's on YouTube or Spotify or Apple. We're also excited because we've talked about this, we might have even mentioned it when we were talking to Alex, how much we really want to get out there.
Yeah.
We've wanted to go there. And we now have an opportunity. We're going to be out there in February.
Yeah.
And making a trip out to Balcones. So I'm really excited for that.
Yeah. And subscribe to our YouTube if you're into whiskey, because we're going to be doing some vlogging stuff. Yeah. Vlogging.
So anyway, their products that we've reviewed on the show include the Texas Rye, one of my favorites. It's a go-to of mine.
Yeah.
Pot Still Bourbon and Brimstone. So they also have other products that you might have seen or heard of, which include Baby Blue. We saw that. I don't remember where we were that we saw that. I think we might have been in South Dakota.
That might be. Yeah, that you're right.
Yep. And then they have their regular single malt. Do you want to? What is that other one?
They have a single malt. They have the Cataleja,
Cataleja,
which is also a single malt. And then they have their Mirador Eclipse, which
Mhm.
was a special edition one that they put out this year during the eclipse. That was like the
Oh.
launch party.
Oh, cool. Yes. So the one we're drinking today, Lineage, it aims to balance the American single malt and that taste of Texas, which absolutely is in their whiskey.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
And so they take that taste of Texas with the old world tradition of single malts. It features Texas grown and malted barley aged in refill oak alongside Scottish golden promise malted barley. And this particular one has won a bunch of awards. One other thing I really like about Balcones is their website is very thorough in describing their process and what makes them unique. And you know me, and when I'm doing like getting history and researching, I love a site that tells me all the things. 'Cause
Yeah, for
that's
sure.
what we like to dive into.
Yeah,
So their site is great.
it is. Yeah.
All right. And then, I have one more thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, taking the Scottish golden promise and then the Texas grown malted barley should lead to an interesting combo.
Yeah.
I would think.
Yeah.
So you sniffed it.
And
You've tasted it too.
I took a little taste. It's interesting because, I mean, we do a lot of bourbons.
Mhm.
We do a lot of rye. We don't do a lot of single malts. So this is completely different. I'm going to let you do a little sniffing and tasting while I catch up with the chat. Josiah joining us saying, yo, will McConkey be ready to play for playoffs next week? I don't know. I haven't heard an update on his injury. I actually thought he was kind of questionable, but I did not expect him to miss that game last night. So just going to have to keep your eye on the injury reports and keep an eye on our YouTube. We will let you know. And do you think the Steelers is the real test? People were saying Ravens. Steelers that's another team that they're just so well coached, and they've looked good this year. They've looked the part. So it will be interesting. What do you think of the smell here?
I got 3 things right away.
Okay.
Leather,
Okay, I can get a little
caramel,
bit of that. Caramel.
and Texas.
Interesting. See, I almost get like
Isn't that leathery kind of? Is that what I'm smelling? It's
Maybe
like caramel leather.
maybe a slight hint of that. Yeah, I get a lot of almost like baking spice, or not baking spice, like a baked fruit is what I meant to say. You smell it again. There's something sweet fruitiness. there.
Caramel.
No,
It's caramel mixed
Caramel's
with
not
leather. Apple.
fruitiness. Maybe apple. It smells really freaking good either way. As soon as I smelled this, it's completely different than
Where's your
smelling.
whiskey wheel? Your tasting wheel?
I don't have it here right now.
How
Um,
don't you have it here?
Well, it's somewhere that I'd have to search for it, and I'm not going to do that while
This
we're on.
goes back to leading back to you not being organized.
This, you can smell bourbon and you can smell rye,
Mhm.
and this is just completely different. It
Mhm.
just hits you completely different, and it's really unique. I don't know. I really like the smell of it. Have you tasted it?
No, I'm just about to.
All right. The dog has decided she's had enough. She just nudged me.
Mm.
What do you get from it?
I've got to try it 2 more times.
All right, 2 more times. Again, if you're just joining us, we are drinking Balcones Lineage, which is one of their single malt whiskeys. That's kind of their single malts are their bread and butters.
Mhm.
They have a very good bourbon and a very good rye. Don't get me wrong, but this is like the thing that they really love.
This
They
has
love-
a good mouthfeel to it.
Yeah, it does. It's thicker, but not like creamy thick.
Mhm.
And it's smooth. There's absolutely no like burn or heat.
No, but it warms your belly.
Yeah, it's warming, but there is no there's definitely no burn. It's very smooth. I'm trying to figure out what I'm tasting though, besides deliciousness, but that's not a taste profile.
But is there? I'm just gonna throw this out there because I'm second guessing myself. Is there peat? Do you taste peat?
Maybe a little? I see what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you get kind of a finish of a peat or even just an Irish whiskey.
Mm-hmm. Or Scotch.
Yeah, Scotch. That's a peat. I was
Well, I guess that would be
going to
Scotch.
Scotch.
No, it's Pete.
Who's Pete?
Get out.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm still getting a A baked apple, almost.
Baked goods of some
Baked
sort.
goods.
And peat. And there's a sweetness there.
Mm-hmm.
It's good. It's good.
Is the sweetness more caramel or more like molasses?
Caramel.
Caramel, you think? Okay.
It's not molasses.
It's not molasses. All right.
No.
I believe you.
Did you look up any of their profile that they have online?
I didn't. I can look it up right now and let you know.
I did not include that. But no, I like it. What are your thoughts? How do you think it'll stand up in an old fashioned?
I think it'll be really good.
I think it's going to make an interesting one.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I mean, it's just so different than drinking a bourbon or a rye, but a good different. Definitely a good different. And I'm impressed with, you mentioned the mouthfeel, impressed with that, but also just how, I mean, it goes down easy. I don't, I about said something that probably sounds really weird and inappropriate, but it just glides down your throat. It literally does. Like, I just feel like it's just like,
Don't do that again. Just don't do that again. It's very
Fair
good
enough.
though. It is easy. It's an easy. Could you have just said it's an easy drink?
It glides down your
It's an easy one.
I'm sorry that bothered you. It's just what popped into my head that it's just, I don't know.
Okay.
That's just me. I'm getting there. Hang on. We are drinking
Lineage.
Lineage. I know what we're drinking. I'm trying
It's
to
right
find
there.
it. There it is.
I found it before you, and you're looking at.
Get out
the
of here.
site.
All right. So on the nose, sweet and indulgent, sourdough starter and cream soda, mulled cider, which that's maybe where I was getting the apple, bruised bananas, and peaches.
We were way off.
Well, we usually are because, I mean, everybody smells things differently. These are done by experts. I would not say we're in the expert
I
range.
would say I'm just
You
kidding.
are. You're
I'm
right.
kidding. I'm kidding. But you said I was right, so.
Yeah. Well, no matter what you smell or taste, you're right. So
Why was I getting leather?
I'm not sure. After you said it, I got a hint of it.
Just a tiny bit, like not like overpowering or
Right.
anything, but a little like carameled leather.
And then taste, caramelized sweetness, soft oak, manuka honey, chestnuts, and a hint of red wine reduction. That's pretty interesting.
Man, I was way off with my peat.
And then a finish, engaging notes of pineapple upside down cake and creamy Vietnamese tea linger on
It was
a soft
the Vietnamese
finish.
tea.
Is that what you're tasting?
It was totally that Vietnamese tea.
Are you just saying that, or
yes?
Yes.
Just because when I was getting off of it, but there's a lot of uniqueness to it.
There is. Now,
and
I might
everything
not
you
get...
just read sounds very unique.
Yeah.
Pineapple upside down cake.
Yeah.
Vietnamese tea.
I had when I went to sniff, there was a hair on my glass, and now it's like really bugging my
Caramelized
nose.
sweetness.
Yeah. No, I don't get those notes.
Mm-mm.
I rarely do get the notes that they list, but this is really good.
It is really good.
I really like it. We're starting to get spammed by All Game Streaming
All
on.
right.
Thanks for that.
Let's
We are go ahead and
see
delete
ya.
your comments. Thanks for that. It's when you know you've made it big, when you start getting spammed. This is really good. I
At
highly
least they
recommend.
weren't telling you to put a shoe on your head.
That's true. That guy wasn't spamming. He just really wanted me to put a shoe on my head. That was last week. If you weren't here Thursday, Renee, somebody named Renee, really wanted me to put a shoe on my head. Have a good night to you as well, Dylan. Thank you
Yes,
for
have a good
joining us.
night.
We
Thank
appreciate it.
you.
Cheers to you. And good luck in your fantasy playoffs. We'll be back Thursday doing start sits. I highly recommend checking out the Balcones Lineage.
Mm-hmm.
I've liked all their stuff a lot.
I have. I'm still. We should do a Balcones side by side again sometime.
Yeah.
But I'm still just a huge fan of their rye. It will
rye
always
is-
be a go-to for me because it is so unique.
It is.
It is like, and it's that
yeah.
taste of Texas.
I know. I remember after you first had it, you're like, this literally, the way I could explain it is it's a little taste of Texas.
Mhm.
So, Super Bowl prediction. Do you have one?
I don't like these.
You don't like these.
Um,
Forever Eagles wants you to say Eagles, but I will disappoint you and not say Eagles. Sorry, Forever Eagles.
what's yours? Have you thought about like
Lions.
are you just saying that because
No.
we talked about them? I
No,
think
they're
that they
just-
have a chance.
They're such a well-coached team, and they're
Mhm.
very well-rounded. I feel like they can kill you on the run, but if you're stopping the run, they can do it in the passing game. Jared Goff is solid. I that's weird to say. I always thought he was Jared Goof.
Are you saying the Chiefs? Are you going to put Chiefs out there?
I want to say the Bills, but it is so hard to fade the Chiefs, is it not? Like, talk about another very well coached team, championship caliber. They've obviously done it 2 in a row. I mean, 3 will be something that nobody's done, and I know they want to do that. So, and Forever Eagles saying he doesn't think the Eagles are making the Super Bowl. He's picking Lions Chiefs. I'd love to see the Bills get in there. I'm a big Josh Allen fan. I think Josh Allen's window is closing. And that's not because I think he's getting worse. I just think they're going to have harder and harder time making the team as a whole work because of cap restrictions, but it's hard to fade the Chiefs.
It is.
And you can get them, I believe, at plus 550 right now to win the Super Bowl, which I think is an excellent bet. Go spend $10 on it if you want, and you'll get 65 if they win. Like, and it's, I don't know. The Lions are the favorites right now to win the Super Bowl,
Really?
actually. Yeah. I believe they're plus 220.
They're definitely on fire. And
Yeah. I saw people blaming Dan Campbell for players getting injured because he's introduced a knee biting culture or whatever. And it's like, he said that to like get people fired up. He was not saying like they're actually going to bite kneecaps. Like let's cool it on
that's how
that.
the knee bruise happened.
Yeah, it got bit. It was a very bad bite.
Sorry. Couldn't help myself.
Getting sidetracked. Shout out to Balcones. Shout out to Alex, who was on, like you said, episode 109. Go check that out. A lot of cool information there. Alex is actually a bigger hockey fan. He likes the Dallas Stars. But he has poured whiskey and had whiskey tasting with the Jerry Jones and his family. They were big fans of the Baby Blue. So that's kind of interesting. So Serial, if you ever want to try a whiskey, you can try Balcones Baby Blue and be sipping the same whiskey that Jerry Jones said was pretty good.
Yeah.
So there you go. You have anything else you want to add before we get on out of here?
No, it's been good. A lot of activity. We love when you guys chime in or go back and forth with each other and entertain us that way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. That don't forget to like, subscribe, all that helps us. 5-star review on Apple or Spotify helps a ton. We really appreciate that. And yeah, thanks for spending time with us. We'll be back Thursday. My Balcones Lineage is almost gone. I'm going to pour some more though, because that was damned good. Going once, going twice.
Sold.